I'm in like central Utah right now. I'm hanging out with some friends and I just broke away real quick to make this video. And I'm not sure exactly where I am right now. Someone's property, so hopefully nobody comes and gets mad at me while I'm filming this. But it's super beautiful out here, huh? This is crazy. One of my favorite travel experiences that I've ever had was going to Bolivia. I went with my mom and my best friend and one of my mom's best friends, Joellen. Joellen made us laugh the whole time. And making her laugh is like one of my favorite things in the world.
Get away! Get away, Daniel!
But my favorite part, the highlight of the whole trip for me, was when we went to the largest salt flats in the world. The salt flats are huge, and so within them there's a huge volcano, and there's an island of cacti, and there's flamingos, and there's llamas, and everything out there is just such a unique environment that I've not seen before. While we were there, I took this photo of a flamingo. This photo became my main memory from the trip because it encapsulated that experience on the salt flats. I will say this is kind of a set of photos because I also took some of Joellen and of these little kids that were playing in the street. And if you look close, the sign in the back, the graffiti on the wall says, "You are the love of my life." About 6 years ago, I read a book called Endurance, and it quickly became my favorite book. It had been my family's favorite book for a long time, and it's a story of an expedition that went down to Antarctica in the early 1900s, and things went horribly wrong. We loved this book so much that my parents and I decided to go down to Antarctica and to see the grave of the captain, Ernest Shackleton, and to see a lot of the special locations where meaningful parts of the story take place. One of those places is called Elephant Island. This is where, amongst horrible conditions, the crew waited for their captain, Ernest Shackleton, as he took a lifeboat to go get help. They lived on this island for months under just the worst circumstances. When we were there, the ship got pretty close to the island, and what they told us is that there's really only one spot where they could have gone up with their boats. So we went to that spot and we saw where they had dragged them up, and we saw a little monument that was built to them. The rest of it is just these huge mountainous walls. And while we were there looking at it, the sun broke over the stormy clouds and was just shining right on top of the mountain, right in front of us on Elephant Island. And I captured this image. Before my grandpa died, he gave me a camera that his dad had given him, and it's one that he had gotten during World War II. My grandpa had had this camera since college. After he passed away, my grandma was celebrating her 80th birthday, and I decided to take some photos of her on this camera that my grandpa had had for so long. Gosh, this is really confusing. It's a medium format camera that was made in like the 40s. So the lens flips out and everything is basically a guessing game. So I didn't know if my grandma was gonna be focused. I didn't know if the exposure was gonna be right. And between each shot, you have to manually advance the film, which I forgot to do. So on one of these portraits, I double exposed the same frame, but it turned out to be actually really beautiful. A few years ago, I got super into night photography and time lapses, and I wanted to go get a time lapse of the Northern Lights so bad. So my dad and I packed up and went to Fairbanks. We had to go in March when it was cold because that's when you can see the Northern Lights.
Tell us what happened with the car rental. They said we didn't need four-wheel drive.
We were there for about a week, and we had 2 nights that we were gonna be out camping. So those were gonna be our best shots of seeing the Northern Lights. So if the sky wasn't clear those nights, the whole goal of the trip was gonna be ruined. The first camping night, we took dog sleds and we went 30 miles out into the middle of nowhere and slept under the stars and saw some beautiful Northern Lights under the stars. The trip was already a success. A few days later, we took snowmobiles to a tiny, tiny cabin. No cell service, no electricity, just a wood-burning stove. When we were there, the owner of a nearby cabin brought her husky dog puppies that we played with, which was so cute. But that night, as the sun went down, we came outside and we saw the most beautiful Northern Lights. Just lit up the sky so clear. And I would say this is one of my favorite photos, but it's actually one in a series of photos that is the time lapse that I took of that night. It's crazy that these memories can just get compacted down into these single images that I just make my background or put on my wall or something. For each of those trips, I made a full video that I'll put the link to in the description. But thanks for watching. If you like this, please give it a like and subscribe, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.